Good morning, everybody. Matt Moda here to give you my favorite NBA player prop picks today. We're talking Monday, November 18th. I'm going to have three NBA player prop picks for you guys to lock in for today's NBA betting slate. Of course, all three of which are plus money bangers because that's how we do things here. It's been a couple days since I've had an NBA video, so just want to kind of give you a recap on how the season has gone. Unfortunately, we are still kind of working our way back to getting to break even on the year. It seemed as though we are on a good stretch. We had 5 of 6 profitable days dating back to last week, but after a rough Saturday and mostly a break even day yesterday, we're still down about 7 units on the year. Now, Saturday was the majority of that loss. We got down to about the 4-unit mark before then, and then we had an 0 for 4 day on Saturday. Just a brutal day in what's kind of been a brutal season. So hopefully we can turn this thing around. Like I said, we had 5 of 6 profitable days in a row heading in to the weekend. So I'm very confident that we're kind of getting on the right track and that we're going to start to stack some profitable days together, get ourselves into the green on the year, and then it's only going to be uphill from there. So I appreciate everybody who's been rocking with me so far. As I mentioned, for this video, I got 3 picks for you guys to lock in. Just remember to like the video, remember to subscribe, comment, all that good stuff helps me out a ton. And let's get right into these plays. So play number 1, we are heading to the Pacers versus Raptors game. I'm taking Grady Dick, 20 plus points, plus 105 odds at FanDuel. As you know, my Dick riders with me, we have to go back to Grady Dick points after just 2 horrible shooting performances in a row. So we went with Dick last game. Did not go our way, but we'll take that and we'll back a bounce back opportunity for him tonight. 3 games ago when we did back him, he had 32 points. Awesome game. Has followed that up with 16 and 9 points in his last 2 games. And it's really just because he shot horribly from the field. He shot 4 of 17 and 3 of 12 in those 2 games, going 1 of 10 and 1 of 5 from deep. Terrible shooting numbers. Positive regression is expected that way. Things should regress back to the mean. And he's got a great opportunity against a very bad defense against the Pacers to do that tonight. But part of the reason that we are on him tonight is because of the increased usage with Scotty Barnes and Emmanuel Quickley still out. They're going to be out for the foreseeable future. With those 2 out, we should expect about 30 plus minutes for Grady Dick tonight. He's played 8 games this season without those 2. He's averaging over 34 minutes in those 2 games. In those 8 games, excuse me. Only once did he play below 30 minutes. That was an outlier game in which he only played about 24. Every other game, he's played at least 30 minutes without those 2, and he scored 20 or more points in 5 of those 7 games that he played at least 30 minutes, averaging 23.7 points per game in those 7 games, again, in which he's played at least 30 minutes. Those 2 are definitely going to be out tonight. He should play about 30 minutes tonight as well, which obviously just helps us get to this number, the 20-plus point that we need. As I detailed earlier, it's a great fade of recent results after just 2 abomination shooting performances in a row. With those 2 off the court, Dick averages about 8.5 more points per 36 minutes, and he averages about a 25.4% usage rate. 2 pretty good numbers, and that's the second highest usage rate on the Raptors, only behind RJ Barrett, who obviously has a much higher point prop tonight. And as I mentioned, great matchup against a terrible Pacers defense. Pacers defense 23rd in defensive net rating. And they're bad in which the ways that Dick scores with Barnes and Quickley off the floor. He has a way bigger role on offense. Pacers allow the most points per game via isolation and the 6th most points per game to the pick and roll ball handler. The Pacers do allow the 4th most points off of screens and via free throws. And those last 2 categories make up about 40% of Dick's scoring profile. Very confident he has a good game tonight. Let's hope he does, cashing out our first play of the evening. Next up, we are heading to the Bulls versus Pistons game, and I'm taking Nikola Vucevic, 20 plus points, plus 105 odds at FanDuel. Yes, both of these plays are at plus 105 at FanDuel. That's not a typo. This is another great buy low, fade of recent results type of opportunity, taking Vooch to have a good game against the Pistons. For starters, he's been remarkably consistent this year, Vooch has. He scored at least 20 points in 8 of 14 games, but of the 6 games in which he went under, once he scored exactly 19 points, so that would have given us the hook. That would be brutal. And 3 separate times he scored exactly 18 points, which isn't quite the hook, but that is 1 bucket away from cashing. So that's a 12 of 14 games in which he's become 1 basket away from cashing the 20-plus point number, which kind of gives us just a very, very safe floor to back for a player that we need to get 20 points. And then as for the fate of recent results, buy low. The Bulls just coming off of a brutal game yesterday. The Rockets, they got blasted against the Rockets by 36 points. Vuce only scored 9 points. He only played 25 minutes in that game. As long as this game stays relatively close, we should expect about over 30 minutes from Vuce. And I'd be shocked if this game's a blowout in one way or another. 2 bad teams. Vuce has only played fewer than 30 minutes twice this year. One game they lost by 36, the other game they lost by 25. So again, assuming this game stays relatively close, we should see about 30 plus minutes for Vuce. Very good matchup against the Pistons as well. The Pistons are among the worst teams in the NBA, specifically guarding centers. They've allowed the 5th most points per game to centers, and that makes sense. You look at where they're weak, lines up perfectly with a normal center's scoring profile. They allow the 5th most points per game to the pick and roll man, and they allow the 3rd most field goal attempts to post up players as well. So players posting up, they take the 3rd most field goal attempts against the Pistons, about the 9th most points per game. So they're a little bit better efficiency when guarding the post up, but they allow a ton of shots out of the post up. And unsurprisingly, the roll man and posting up, those are the 2 play types in which Vuce scores the most and the 2nd most of his points. Looking at the game logs here, Pistons have allowed starting centers to go over their point prop in 4 straight games and in 7 of 9 overall. And this is also a number that Vuce hit in 3 or 4 games against the Pistons last year. He missed it in the first game these 2 teams played last year. Then he cashed it in the last 3, scoring 21, 25, and 27 points. Obviously, going back to last year isn't always perfect. Different coaching staff for the Pistons, but kind of the same roster with Duren and Stewart as their starting centers. Vuce should be able to get them in the foul trouble, should have success against both of those centers, no matter who they throw at him. And like I said, he's just been remarkably consistent. So I love Vuce as our 2nd play of the evening. 3rd and final pick, 76ers versus Heat game. I'm taking Joel Embiid, 7+ first quarter points. So we're going to the first quarter market. This is offered at plus 110 odds at Bet365. So I know that Embiid is listed as questionable tonight, but I'm guessing he's going to play. He's questionable with an illness. I'm guessing he's going to play, and if he doesn't play, then we just get this one refunded. No harm, no foul there. I'm not going to deny that it's been a rough start for the Sixers this year. It's been a rough start for Joel Embiid specifically. He's played in 2 games this year, and you can tell that he's still working himself back into shape, that he's clearly just working, not only in shape, but just getting ready to play basketball in general. But he's playing more and more in the first quarter, and when he shows signs of fatigue, that happens in the second half as opposed to the first quarter. You look at Embiid in the first quarter, it's a different player when you look at him in the second half. So the first quarter number is a number that he did miss in his first game back from injury. I was never going to play that. In his second game back from injury, he played 8 minutes and he scored 10 points. Assuming that they're going to keep ramping up his minutes, I'm guessing he'll see at least 10 minutes tonight. I wouldn't be shocked if he did play the entire first quarter. And assuming the illness isn't something that's going to keep him out, again, he should see that 10, 12 plus minutes in this first quarter. And Embiid's always been a fast starter, right? Going back to last year's data isn't perfect because he wasn't coming off of a torn meniscus and he was playing all 12 minutes. But if you just look at his first quarter points versus the rest of the game, he historically scores more in the first quarter versus the rest of the game. So 7 points for Embiid, even if he plays 10 minutes, even if he does show signs that he's getting tired, 7 points is still a very good number for Embiid, especially going up against the Heat where, you know, the books haven't quite caught on that the Heat are not nearly the same defense guarding centers that they were last year. Last year, they were the worst matchup for center point props. Last year, they were the best defense guarding the restricted area. Neither of those are the case this year. They allow the 3rd most points per game via post-up. Obviously, mostly centers are posting up. That's also the bulk of how Embiid scores his points is in the post. And this year, the Heat are closer to the middle of the pack in terms of guarding the restricted area. And according to props.cash, they're the 20th matchup. So they're the 11th best matchup for center point props. Last year, they were literally the worst matchup for center point props. So I do think that we're getting a little bit of a discount on Embiid based on all those factors. And the 7+ number, he could not even look good and still score it just because his usage rate is so high when he's on the floor. So I love getting this, especially for plus money. You know, his over-under is normally like 8.5 for minus money. So we are getting a bit of a discount here for all those factors, which makes me want to buy in on it. And that's all we got. 3 bangers for you guys to lock in. Grady Dick, 20+ points. Nikola Vucevic, 20 plus points. And Joel Embiid, 7+ first quarter points. 3-0 day would do wonders for us. Let's hope that happens. Again, remember to like the video, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and have a good one.